Welcome to Everything is Learning, a space for curiosity, growth, and figuring things out as we go. We're glad you're here. Let's get into it. Hi, everybody. We're here mid-season, and Marissa and I were like, you know what? We need to talk. There's been a lot of learning already this season on raising humans, and we've updated how we feel about raising humans. But ironically, even though we're sisters, we don't really have time to talk about parenting that much.
No,
I mean,
we're
we
in
have,
survivor mode.
right. It's one of my neighbors says, surviving, not thriving is what she says
Yes.
frequently. And another thing that I feel like I've heard a lot recently from parents, both um male, female, and then other people who identified, as they, them, etc., as parents. I think that a lot of the people are realizing that there's just so much overstimulation that happens, and that you don't really kind of get out of the survival mode, whether you're out of it from a day-to-day perspective or you're in it constantly. You're in it until a kid turns 7 is basically what we've learned recently. Is right
Well,
around 7 years old, parents, and I'm not talking about parents who have one child, I'm talking about parents who have 2 or more. I actually don't have a lot of friends who only have one child unless they're babies right now. Do you have a lot of friends who have just one? I can think of one of our friends that we share from high school. They have one.
I have a couple, but I
Do you?
I think it's just on a stepping stone on their path to a family. That they
Right.
have one right now, but their intention is to
To have
have
more.
siblings. I
Right.
do have friends who have that, but to your point about the survival mode piece too is I also think about the different parenting dynamics. Like, as much as the not taking candy from strangers and watching your surroundings for people following you was something that when we grew up, we were told we could go out and play and not worry that we were going to be kidnapped or abducted or something was going to happen to us. And now I feel like it's been so ingrained into, I'm going to call us millennial parents because that's what we are, that you can't leave your kid alone. And so I
Ever.
spend lots of waking moments more than our, like, I know our parents wanted to spend more time with us, but I think about
Do you?
they had to outsource a lot of the work. Plus,
Yeah.
even when they were around, we were out doing things, having a little bit more independence. And I don't know, you were talking about the age threshold at which maybe you wouldn't be in survival mode anymore. I'm not clear that 7 will even be the threshold just because of the state of the world, just because
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
Epstein files exist. Like,
Yeah.
I think about things that I know now and the idea that ignorance is bliss. Yeah, I mean, it sucked that it happened and I was ignorant about it. But now that I know, I can't unknow. And so it changes how I hover over I smother my children. You can't have smother without mother. That's me. And
Jesus.
and I don't mean it in the intensity. I try and find ways in which they can have some autonomy, but I also and not projecting my
Oh, worries.
concern on
Oh,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I talk about that a lot in therapy.
But
I'm
but
like,
the
my dad
reality
taught me
is,
how to not get taken.
yeah.
And now I don't know how to not teach my children to not get taken.
Well, also, okay, so to your point there too, and this is me doom scrolling a bit, but it is hard to find legal ways in which to purchase pepper spray. But what I saw someone do was, oh, it's not illegal to buy spray paint. And somebody who comes into the OR with pink spray paint in their eyes, you're sure gonna know who's guilty when you tell the cops, oh, so and so attacked me, and I sprayed them with pink spray paint.
I
Instant
love
indicator.
okay, I'm literally getting spray paint. I
I bought
told you.
spray paint from Walmart, and I was like, oh, is this weird?
Nope, carry it. Nope, carry it.
Yeah,
I
another
I
one
don't feel
was
like perfume will do enough damage. But do you
agreed. It was
remember
glitter. Glitter, man.
I was just gonna say, I just read about somebody talking about SA and glitter. We
Yeah.
really went deep, quick. But I just remember a couple weeks ago, I FaceTimed you to tell you that I brought a baseball bat because I was gonna be out by myself with the kids,
Yes. Yeah, because
on the
people were
canal.
exposing themselves
Yeah,
in public. The
people were
gall.
legit
Yes.
men, identifying as men. Um, they were whipping it out, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Try me."
Yeah, I
Like
don't know many women who would, like, expose themselves like, Jen Hamilton is one of my favorite creators who I follow, and she talks about nipples in the wind. It's not those people. Those aren't the ones. They're the ones going to the hospital because they're, like, experiencing childbirth. They're not the ones exposing themselves to families and young children. No, it's men. Yes. Um,
men.
but yeah, to
Not
your
all
point about
men.
the baseball bat yeah. To your
Haha.
point but it may not be all men, but it's
I'm
always men. Um,
I'm so salty today,
to
sorry.
your point about the bat, though, did you did you hear you should put a cut up tube sock and slide that on the sleeve so that if somebody tries to grab the bat, like if you go to hit them and they'll pull off the tube sock and you still have the bat in your control.
These are the conversations that we would have if we had time, but
Fair
we're just,
enough.
like, mothering and wifing and friending and trying to yeah, I get it. I and to be fair too, I know we're talking about survival mode, but honestly, I don't really feel like I'm in survival mode when I'm in the moment. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like when I'm playing with my kids, I don't feel like I'm in survival mode. It's when they go to sleep that I'm like, "Oh my god, like what am I
Yeah,
going to
you have
do?"
a chance
And
to really feel in your be in your feelings.
right, and be in your head and be like, "These are all the things that I didn't do today." And I just don't do that anymore. Like, I feel like parenting has given me a lobotomy. I like, I am not at all who I used to be in so many ways. Part
Sure.
of it is because I prayed and I just wanted to be a parent so bad, and another, like, thing that I've read recently is, like, how wanting to become a parent this is a really interesting perspective, and I know not everybody has it, is considered, like, a selfish thing, and I, like, sat with that for a while, and I was like, "You know what? Why did I want to become a parent so bad?" And in a lot of ways because it was my choice. I get that. I understand why people think that, right? Like, if you're choosing to have a child, then it's your choice. So I've always thought that, right? Like, a child comes into the world, you owe them nothing, right? In terms of like when they grow up, like if my children grow up
You
to
mean
be
they owe you nothing.
right, sorry. Yes, they owe you nothing, right? Like, one of the things that I am consistently triggered by are when people are like, "Oh, you raised such a lovely son or daughter or person or whatever." Like, no, they get credit for that. Like, you, Marissa, yes, you were raised by parents who loved you and cared about you and all that. Wonderful, fine. But they never made the choices for you. Like, you did the work in school. You got straight
Sure.
A's. They
They role
didn't.
modeled for me. Like,
Sure,
they shared imparted wisdom so that I didn't have to make all the mistakes that they did. Now, I also
sure.
had to be willing to listen and willing to digest it and willing to deal with that. But to your point about I I made the decisions that led me down the path that made someone feel that that was the right term to use, not
Right.
unnerving, not frustrating, not
But
difficult.
that's the other thing too
Lovely.
like, I get frustrated with it because it's the person who is making the choices, right? Like, I get that if you come from um parents who are super wealthy and white and you are a white male in the United States. I get that. Fine. But to think that parents don't make mistakes and in that moment where you're like you raised such a blah blah wonderful person. Where have you like you were not here when they did X, Y, or Z. You were not here when, this happened or that happened. Like people become who they become not just because of their parents, but because of the learning mentors that they had throughout,
For
right?
sure.
Like
Mhm.
Claire Huxtable helped raise me. I'm not even kidding. Like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like these people had major influence. Miss Frizzle, Valerie Frizzle, she had a big effect on me. We watched a lot of TV as kids. We played a lot of sports. We did a lot of dance, but we also watched a lot of TV. Carmen
For
Sandiego.
sure.
See how they're all not males. Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'll throw him in.
I
Oh,
was just
LeVar Burton. I'll throw him in. Reading Rainbow.
Mr. Rogers,
Mr.
Bob
Rogers. Oh,
Ross.
Fred.
Yeah.
Go for it.
But I also think like that it really is dependent on interests and likes and exposure too. And as we were naming up all of these TV characters, it makes me think about a question that I would like to ask you, which is like, what decision did we used to judge before we had kids, or you used to judge before you had kids, and now we do it with our own children? TV time is definitely something, or like tablet time, but there
Yeah.
are others.
No, the
Like
first thing that came to my head was, I remember when I was pregnant with the twins that which I never call them that, but I don't wanna use their names. When I was pregnant with them, I was like, "I'll use cloth diapers." That's the first one that came to my head. I was like, "No, no, no, it's fine, like, I'll be home with them, it'll be fine."
I'm
No.
such a foodie, I didn't expect to use or benefit from the sanity that I get from fast food.
Oh, that's so funny that you say that. You're talking about food. And so I was talking to one of my best friends, and she was talking about baby led weaning, and she was talking about how much pressure there is during that part. Do you remember introducing like the high allergy foods? So she found out
Yeah,
that her
and having, like, Benadryl next to
right
me
next to
in my
you.
pocket,
Yeah,
yes.
I told her, I was like, we would make sure that I didn't have a meeting on a morning and my partner didn't have a meeting on a morning, so that if we had to rush our child to the hospital or children to the hospital, if we introduced peanut butter, and we had twins, so it was like you introduce peanut butter on Monday to this one, and then Tuesday to this one, and you make sure that you could go to wherever you got to go and you make an emergency plan. So I was telling her like, no, like if people just are like, oh, I'll introduce peanut butter, and then all of a sudden they find out that their kid's allergic, that's terrifying. I would rather be
For
prepared.
sure.
I'm a more like prepared person. I always have been, but I told her I was like jar food, like do organic jar food, and because it doesn't have protein in it, most of it, like carrots or vegetables or whatever, I was like, just do that. Like while you're
For sure.
introducing the high allergens, just do things that most people aren't really allergic to.
Yeah,
And so she started doing it and she was like, it's literally changed my life. Like,
for sure. I was gonna say I'm so grateful to Once Upon a Farm pouches for
oh,
that
yeah.
exact reason. And I even like the Trader Joe's ones. I just wish there were like, apple is always the base of said pouch, and I would like more options than it's always apple and something. I just would like maybe the something else, like only strawberry or only peach, not
Oh,
apple
gotcha.
and peach.
Shout out
Um,
Trader Joe's.
yes, I know, right? But it does. It makes such a huge difference. And cookies before dinner or at dinner, like in our home growing up, it was
Oh,
always like, you had
dessert
the meal and
after.
then dessert after. No, it's a part of said meal because then they don't have it so late anymore.
Or that you
Non-food.
had to eat your whole plate. I was like,
Yes.
"Nuh-uh,
Yeah,
nope,
all
that
of that,
trauma is
yes.
still
Yes.
available for your viewing."
Yeah, right.
No.
No,
Yeah,
I
we
know
don't do that.
exactly. But other other things, like, I wanted them to walk, but, like, I use the stroller or the wagon all the time. Like, I want them to be a
Oh.
little bit independent, but because
Oh, okay.
because of who my children are, they elope, and I'm like, "Nope, confine them. I don't care if they never walk."
Trap
Like,
them.
right, exactly. So, I will take a stroller or a wagon everywhere, and I used to judge like, people who had kids on leashes. Nope. Leash 'em up.
Yeah, that one was a big one, the leash thing. That was really hard. I
When
just
you have people in the world, like our current administration and others that are beyond, like, anyone on the Epstein list, when you have that,
yeah, leash them.
yeah, like, then talk to me. When
I mean,
you have an
I low jack the kids. If I had an option to do it in their tooth, I would do it. I don't even care how crazy that makes me sound.
I
I
actually
low jack
kinda
them
would
in the tooth.
that I would same, same.
I
And
wish
I would
that
eventually let them know, but for now, as a young child, I wouldn't, because then they would just, like, pick
that
at
was
it or
like a
whatever.
Mission Impossible movie thing, I think. And I was like,
But
that technology I could get down with.
my thing is, like, unfortunately, my youngest is getting potential like, he's so close to being faster than me. and he's
Oh,
small, so I
yep,
can't always see him, and so,
yep.
like, for me, that's why I'm like, "Leash him up."
You know what though? I we were in a store the other day and they gave out free balloons at Michael's,
Oh,
the craft
yeah.
store. I didn't know that they did that. Um, one of the kids was asking for stickers and they were like, "We don't have stickers, but we have free balloons." Well, one of my kids ran off and guess what? I could see that little red balloon bobbing everywhere.
That's
Balloon
nice.
your children.
Well
Like,
well, and I know we
it's
may
so
not be
great.
done with the current question, but that also goes, what are some small unglamorous things that have made the biggest difference in us raising humans? But, like, just a the daily things that you might have in your house and how much enjoyment that brings. Like, the not pressure to buy certain toys because so much of what you have is so fascinating to them
Oh
already.
yeah, don't buy
Yeah,
a toy.
well, but balloons, I'm will always have balloons on hand, and I am not
Yeah. Oh, I do too.
as an
I'm a pump.
environmentalist, I know, right, which is really great, but as an environmentalist, I really have some strong feelings about balloons, but
Yeah.
knowing how much time that I get back from just giving a
Yeah.
balloon to my
One balloon
children.
a whole day. I swear. We should make a list. Yeah, balloons is definitely one. Berry bowls, like a berry bowl from Wegmans. Yeah.
I feel
Um,
sad for people who don't have Wegmans.
Sometimes I do. Then
It makes
I realize
we're
they're kind of
privileged
an
in that way.
ableist organization, so I don't really love
That's
that.
fair,
But
you're
anyway.
right.
Um, um, what else? Library books. Library
Yes, the
books. Do not
library.
I spent the first several years buying every single book that I could possibly get. And the reality is when they're little, there's a couple that they really love. So go to the library and then buy just those books that they love that they want to hear every night. Um, and
Great
by the way,
suggestion.
Yodo cards and Tony, they have Tony boxes and they also have Tonys that you can take out. And some places have like
Oh, what?
launch
That's
pads.
awesome.
Oh yeah, ours does. We love it. But here's the hack for Yodo. So if you take out a Yodo card from the library and you have the Yodo app because you have cards of your own, once you put it in the Yodo player, it is forever on your app.
That's nice.
Yeah, so we don't even have to buy them.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah, we really should make a list. Um, let's see what other stuff. Musical instruments like pots and pans. You could do that or like just anything that makes noise is just it's so great. What else?
For
Let's see.
them, not for your sanity.
Yeah.
Just be
Oh
aware.
no, not for my sanity.
Visual schedules, it wasn't a thing until I had a child with autism that I like it was always a thing. Period. It was not a thing I remembered to do until I had children, specifically one with autism. Period. But this works for everyone, and I think like even for me, to remember, what do I have to do? Also, meal prepping. Again, I'm sorry,
Meal prepping.
you need to understand how much of a foodie I am, and if you're not picking up on this, listeners, like, you will. Meal prepping and leftovers. I used to complain so much about
Oh,
leftovers, like, just the word leftovers, like,
I'm triggered by
we
it.
should treat it as second something. And another person that who I love and follow, told me about the hack where if you like you have an Alexa device or a Google Home device or some kind of thing, you could ask that device, like you could pre-program what's favorite character having for dinner and make it the thing that you're having for dinner so the child would want to have. So like, what's Bluey having for dinner tonight? And it's like carrots and peas with chicken, and that's what you're having, like, you can
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
pre-program it, right? But meal prepping and leftovers have been, like, life-saving, and then, I also saw recently people, like, incorporating fun things like a fondue pot, but, like, using it for spaghetti sauce and then, like, literally plopping, like, putting aluminum foil or tin foil all over
The
your
table.
table and
Mhm.
making it look like a
I
giant
saw a choo-choo
charcuterie
train.
board.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. I was also thinking so you were talking about leftovers, but what we do is on days that we don't have as many meetings, in the morning we'll have breakfast and then right around like 10:30 we'll make lunch and whatever we do is either a one pot or a one pan. So like sausage, peppers, broccoli, whatever and you put it in and it's for lunch and for dinner. Done. You don't have to think about it, and then you just eat it and graze while you can, or when you can. So, like, I get the leftover thing. The meal prep thing, it just takes so much off of your plate, like, off of the mental load. That's such a good one. I who knew that doing meals was, like, so hard? Especially for somebody with ADH tendencies like myself, it's not great. Um, that is a really hard part of parenting. What are your top 3 hardest parts of parenting that you feel like you've found out? We genuinely have not talked about this, unless we call each other crying about something.
Yeah.
We don't
Um,
really.
this I'm not definitely not the first person to talk about this, and I know that there's this beautiful poem about or analogy that somebody used about you're planning a trip to somewhere and then you get dropped off somewhere else, but mourning th the childhood that you expected for said child or, like, had mapped out in your head, and people like us who are so future thinking because we like to
Mm,
plan ahead, and,
mhm.
to a fault, I will, like, think what's the worst case scenario, and, like, anything short of that is, like, a success to me. Is it's like doom living, but in a way that, like, you see the glass
Please
half
don't tell
full.
Patrick
But,
about that.
yeah, no, but, what I mean is I think one of the hardest things about parenting is, when you find out you're going to whether adopting, fostering, whatever amount of time that you have in bet actually carrying to term, what have you, when you map out in your brain some expectations when y which it's a natural instinct, um, understanding what you expected and how that might differ, that's been actually challenging, and it's not because beautiful things haven't come from that I never expected, because plenty has, but it is a little bit hard for me, and I'm in many ways grateful because although the trajectory is still different, it's, there's such a distinct difference between having a speaking and a non-speaking child that,
Mhm.
some of those milestones that we missed with our oldest, are being in ways met, and so it's, um everything feels like a big deal because, we didn't experience it with our first, and I have to remember and be intentional about making big deals about when our first does these amazing things because, um, not for nothing, my oldest is way better at tech, like, period. Even just now, me at my current age and
He's
experience
the
in tech,
best at tech.
yeah, like, he can figure things out that I didn't even know you could do, and, like, he's doing it, and he's 5. That's pretty incredible, but, celebrating things that weren't necessarily on the plan has been wonderful, but, like, I do miss that. That was hard. Also, no one really prepared me for, like, extended periods in diapers and how difficult potty training was gonna be and all of that. Like, I understood that perhaps it was peer pressure. I don't really know, but
That caused you to toilet
essentially
train?
yeah, I guess, like, that you
Really?
don't wanna feel different. I don't know. It wasn't
Oh,
like I
okay.
was, wetting the bed long. You were close enough in age that, like, we made lots of things, internal competitions, without even saying it, but, like, in reality, um, I think having a child as old as our oldest is and still in diapers and not that we're not trying, but that is something challenging. Another thing that is challenging about parenting is having to think of something to eat every single freaking night. That's just being an adult or being a human.
It's
But
not,
like,
because being an adult, when you only have to do it for yourself, you're like, "Eh." But having to find something that everybody will eat or making things for everybody individually is a lot. It's a lot of
yeah,
effort after a long day, and then you also have bath time and bedtime
yeah.
and those routines and things like that. No, it is hard. It's hard. It's exhausting.
How about for you? While I'm thinking on it, what have you noodled on? What's been challenging?
So, I was really lucky, with you know how much we love our pediatrician.
Yeah,
Um, we were so blessed to have her, and the whole reason that we chose her was because that first appointment for your oldest, when you had to get rushed back to the hospital after giving birth, I went with your partner to the first doctor's appointment
Yeah,
and met the pediatrician, and she was so kind and so thoughtful throughout the whole process, and you were FaceTiming from the hospital, and we
I
were asking all these
remember.
questions, and then a year later when when I, was pregnant, we requested her, and she said, "Absolutely, yes," and thank God we did, because we would not have living twins if it were not for her. And I love her dearly, and I'm so grateful for her, but where I'm going with that is the very first appointment, we were like, "Well, he is this and she is that, or they are this," and she was like, "No comparing. It's really easy to say it, but don't ever compare your twins, and don't ever compare your children if you can help it." And we had a lot of practice because we were in the pediatrician's office every day for 3.5 months, like every weekday, pretty much for 3.5 months. And yeah, I mean, we had a lot of practice with that. And what that taught me was what you were talking about, expectations. Like, I think for us, we were in a place where the expectations that we had were different, but I do think that's really hard because I think that our parents and other older people were so used to in the pandemic, like everybody coming over to meet the baby and everybody wanting to like touch them and all that stuff, and we were masking, and when we had the kids they just came out with the vaccine and people were too scared to have it, and we have family from all over the country and in other countries, and people weren't traveling at that time, and
Right.
we did not have the expectations. It was the expectations of others that ruined our parenting experience,
Hmm.
and the disappointment of others and that projection. And still to this day, some people are like, well, you didn't let us see, the kids, blah, 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 or whatever. I've FaceTimed people all day long. People got to see the kids. They could have come over if they masked, but I still hear it occasionally. And the expectation of others was really hard for my partner and I to unlearn because we were just so happy to have our children. We were so happy that the one that was not going to survive is surviving and thriving and has virtually no medical issues at all. Um, you know, I do think expectations is really hard. I think the expectations of others when you become a parent is what's hardest, and I hear a lot of
Sure.
people go through that. In terms of other stuff, I know we've talked a lot about overstimulation and emotional regulation. I think that one thing people don't tell you about is that when you become a parent, you, are immediately transported to the wounds of your past.
Hmm.
And I don't think that many, parents who are parents to adult children know how to navigate that. And luckily, because of the situations that we went through, we were able to learn a lot and now know not what not to do when our children become adults, because we want to be supportive and we want to be listening and we want to be learning from them. And we also want to help them heal because but in repair, and I've talked a lot about repair, but I think that that is something that people really need to learn how to do, and even just basic communication. I don't think a lot of people practice it. You don't have you go into like a school, whether it's public school, private school, whatever, charter school. You go into school and it's still a Prussian model of education for 98% of schools in the United States, right? You
Sure.
sit, you listen, it's a lecture. And college is a lot of majors are like that too, and even minors. But where I'm going with that is when you sit and you have to listen, that's the skill that you're forced to consistently flex and practice. Speaking and communication is not. And even when you're doing it in school, school is kind of like the workplace for children. And when you're
Sure.
at the workplace, you're not really practicing that either because those relationships that you're having are not authentic to your day to day life. They're authentic to your career. So I
Yes.
think that that's something else that has been hard. Um, and I think letting go, just being present. when you feel like there's a million things to do and you have to learn there are always a million things to do. That is
Yes.
so hard. And I also full transparency, like, the impact on your relationships. Um, you know,
Yeah.
like, uh, we've had a couple of guests talk about how raising humans can be really lonely at times. I agree. Or how you think that you're doing something wrong when really you're doing it the way that works best for you. And you're unlearning and learning. And that is a really, really hard journey to go through. And you're doing it while raising a human in real time. So
That's a
um
really good point.
time
Yeah.
there isn't enough. Um,
But
you
it's
know?
also the only thing you'll never get back, so you gotta use it wisely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm currently boycotting my child who just turned 2 yesterday. I'm
Mm.
boycotting too. I forget I nope, nope, you're not getting older. You're not it's not happening. I mean, I'm so excited that that is happening, but I'm also like, "No,
Right,
time
it's
has moved too quickly."
exactly. It's like a gift because, not everyone gets to age,
Right.
but at the same time, like, it is really hard to cope with, and,
Yeah, like, F
um
that, no.
no, I absolutely agree. I'm gonna take us down a different path, right now. I'm gonna, prompt a different question, and that being, if we met today as moms instead of sisters, do you think we would be friends? And if so, or if not, why? And then what if we were friends and did get a chance, what will we learn from each other's parenting styles?
Um, I think we would be friends, but it might take a little time because, I think that we would meet each other and we would probably laugh right away. Um, but I think that
Yeah,
I know for sure
sarcasm
we could
meets
be friends.
sarcasm. Game meets game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have
Once
had
we got
such
to that
crippling
point,
imposter syndrome, though. Hearing your background and knowing what you do for your kids, I would have literally been like, "Wow, I don't think I have it in me," and seriously would have had some crippling imposter syndrome, but at the same time, like, I would have really appreciated how thorough and organized and creative you were.
that's kind. I think that my biggest thing so you know how into advocacy I am, but I
Yes.
have to just say, like, I'm gonna try not to cry. I'm so in awe of the way that you advocate um for everybody in your household. And I think that has just been so inspiring to see, and part of me is like, um, I've always loved doing that. I've always loved helping people, and that's why I do the job that I do, but seeing my sister do it for 3 humans that I also love beyond words is, it's a lot, and I see how taxing it can be, and I see how wonderful it can be, and I see how exhausting it can be, and I see how, like, joyful it can be when you get the things that you need, but I also think a lot of people don't understand all that it takes, and I don't think a lot of people see what's behind, um, the door always, you know, and I'm exceedingly in awe, and I hope that you're proud of yourself because I do think that that's been part of your journey that your kids were created for you specifically, and I feel the same about me. I feel like all 5 of our kids teach us things, and they've helped raise us, and they've helped, indirectly, they've helped guide us to heal ourselves and, learn more about ourselves, but, yeah, I think that's why we would be friends as moms because we would see in each other the things that are wonderful about each other, as moms and as humans, and we would laugh
Thank
a
you.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
we
you.
would. I love you too. Something that I think that goes underappreciated. Not only do you try and anticipate every need, but when you make a choice, something I love about you, and whether or not you even see this in yourself, is you accept that maybe it's been a wrong choice and don't feel like you can't backtrack and redo. Like I feel relief once a decision has been made. It's like a mental load, and then I just stick with that. But something that really was awe-striking to me was if it did if it doesn't sit well with you, you're like, "I can fix it." And I don't know why I've always been afraid to fail, and you don't even view it as that. Like, and that's exactly what I wanna kinda adopt is, nope, it's just a different choice. It's not failing, it's just I can make a different choice. And I've been actually trying to implement that in my own life. If something doesn't feel good or feel right, like trusting that instinct and that there's probably a reason. But in my mind, if I pick something and it didn't work out or I made a mistake, it was like a failure and you didn't do that. And I hope you don't mind me saying, but the best example is like the school choice. You have multiple good options for your kids and you made a choice, but then something was like, "Ugh, I really feel like I'm going to regret this." So you made a different choice. And I think your kids are going to be better off for it because ultimately you know them better than anyone else. Besides themselves, but, like, that's not something that they inherently can make a decision for right now, but I respect the fact that you were able to reflect on, "This doesn't feel right," and you made a different choice, and, like, I don't know, I think I would have been intimidated to switch, just because I just get so stuck in indecision sometimes that sometimes the relief of the decision made is enough to keep me propelling down a track that I know might not be right for me, and so that is a takeaway that I have from you. Um,
Oh,
but
thanks.
given that we're nearing the end of time, I wanna make sure that we talk through, at least what has become some of your unexpected favorite things about parenting and raising humans?
Unexpected?
Yeah,
Um, hmm, unexpected. I don't know. It's not that it was unexpected. It's just I didn't expect the amount of. Um I knew that I always wanted to be a mom. I knew that I always wanted to have kids. I knew that they would bring me joy and exhaustion, but I did not realize how much joy each individual child that I have brings me, and how healing it is to be a parent, and how easy it is to love a child and not hurt them, and um, how we make mistakes, but there is joy in the mistakes and there is joy in the failure, and, that was super unexpected for me. Um, and yeah, I love them and I love who I am with them. I'm the best version of myself with them. And I'm learning more to love myself, which was really unexpected. I didn't realize how much I didn't love myself until I became a parent. Even though I had friends and I had this seemingly perfect life, I really felt that way. And then I became a parent and a lot of things change. And when I sat down and I looked at it, um, I realized that there was a lot of me giving and a lot of people taking, and that identification led me to even more joy. And I think a lot of learning is learning and finding the joy and the unexpected, but also knowing that you're going to walk through some hard stuff too. So
sure.
that's my answer. But what about you?
I love being someone's safe space. It
Mm,
is such a gift to know that. And I know that at times it can be hard, especially for my partner, like that there's like a default system. So if I'm in the room, I'm the preferred person. If grandma or nana's in the room and I'm not, then they're the next. I mean, and dad is second. It's me, then dad, then nana, so on and so forth. But um feeling like knowing that you are someone's safe space, it's just this immense amount of trust and responsibility, but also privilege and, like, the unconditional love that comes from that.
mhm.
Also, being able to play again. Like,
Oh, play is
sometimes I
so
feel
underrated. Yes.
I know, right? But I also, as an adult, probably wouldn't take the time, and that's all of what children's responsibility is. So I'm, like, getting to have snacks again, getting to, like, play again, getting to I learned more about whales recently than I ever knew. Like, also bottlenose dolphins, there's like tons of other dolphins, and some of those dolphins are really scary looking. And like I didn't know that. And so I'm getting to like relearn things and go back and explore things differently from my own child. And the other thing, I know this isn't necessarily dovetailing into this question, but it will potentially to this next question. So I'm going to lead into the question that we ask ourselves, or we ask all of our guests. We believe raising humans is one of the most powerful learning spaces. What lessons do you hope we start teaching more consciously and collectively around the world to make permanent and positive change? And this has changed for me. And so if you don't mind, I'm going to go first, even though
Tell
I
me.
asked the
Yeah. No,
question.
tell me, tell
So
me.
there's three things. The one is being able to say no.
Oh,
And
yeah. No, full
that is
sentence.
its own statement. Yes, exactly. That's a full sentence. Number 2 is that grades, to me at least, grades don't matter.
Don't matter at all.
Learning matters.
Yes.
So just because someone achieves an A does not mean that they learn. In fact, I would rather my child do something wrong and understand why it was wrong than
Yep.
do it right. And I say that way easy, like if it's breaking a rule or a boundary that won't feel comfortable, but I would rather that. And then the third thing is um the ability to see to assume goodwill. And I know that's really hard for me and I'm still trying to put that into practice, but assume goodwill because it helps. I'm sorry, 4. And when you have a hypothesis or hold a belief, when doing research or whatnot, you should try to disprove your hypothesis.
Oh, yeah.
Work to make sure that what you have said, it's kind of like, unfortunately, the way medicine works. You have to rule out all the other things and
To
then get to
find
the
what it
thing,
is.
but that's
Mm.
exactly how research should go. And so, like having that flexibility and that patience and the realization and assuming goodwill so that what you think or just question potentially in a safe way your core beliefs, not because they're not worthy, but just to make sure that you're not overlooking something that could be amazing. And how about
Yeah.
for you? Has that answer changed?
So, I'm just gonna add to it, and I literally just changed it 2 minutes ago when we were talking. Play. Everyone should play. At any age, all the time, you should be playing because of the positive impact that it has on your body. But we need to get kids out of a classroom. We need to get them out in nature. We need to get them literally hugging trees because we need to. Um, and I firmly believe that if everybody played more, their mental health would be better, and that would change the world because our mental health needs to change. As a collective society, global society, it needs to change. So that's what I got. Yeah.
Love it.
But
Thanks. This was really a wonderful discussion,
I know
and I
I
hope our
really like this.
listeners
We should
take away
do.
something too.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that they learned something or that you all thought something a little bit differently today. And we're excited to have you back for our next guest. Thanks.
Thanks for spending your time with us at Everything is Learning. Keep being curious, keep learning, and we look forward to catching you again next time.